what you're about to witness will shake the very foundation of WWE to its core. CM Punk committed verbal murder on Monday Night Raw, and the victim, Bron Breakker, the so-called next big thing, who just got exposed as nothing more than an overhyped, under-talented pretender wearing his daddy's last name like a participation trophy. I'm telling you right now, this wasn't just a promo. This was an execution. And if you think WWE is going to let you see the full, unfiltered truth about what went down, you're dead wrong. That's why you're here on Wrestle Scope, where we don't sugarcoat anything. Hello viewers, if you're new here, please don't forget to like and hit the subscribe button for daily updates on WWE Raw. Before we dive into the absolute destruction that CM Punk unleashed, we need to understand the powder keg that was waiting to explode. For months, WWE has been cramming Bron Breakker down our throats like he's the second coming of Goldberg, Brock Lesnar, and his uncle Scott Steiner, all rolled into one genetically superior package. The problem? Most of us aren't buying it. Sure, Bron's got the physique. Sure, he can hit a devastating spear. Sure, his last name opens doors that would be slammed shut for anyone else. But here's what WWE doesn't want you to realize. Bron Breakker is the most manufactured superstar since Roman Reigns' failed babyface push. And that's not even the worst part. The worst part is that WWE knows it. Bron knows it. And they were all praying that CM Punk, the most dangerously honest man in professional wrestling, would just play along with the charade. Let me paint you the picture. Raw, December 15th, 2025. The crowd is hot. Bron Breakker had just retained his Intercontinental Championship the night before at a live event against Chad Gable, in what insiders are calling a perfectly acceptable match. That's WWE speak for boring but safe. Bron comes out flexing, barking at the camera like a rabid pit bull, doing his whole intimidation routine that's supposed to make us forget he can barely cut a promo without stumbling over his lines. Then his music hits, CM Punk's music, and the arena explodes. Now, you have to understand something about CM Punk in 2025. This isn't the same guy who left WWE in 2014, broken and bitter. This isn't even the same guy who returned in 2023. This is a CM Punk who has nothing left to prove, nothing left to lose, and everything to say about the state of this business. He's been vocal backstage, and yes, we have sources, don't worry, about his frustration with WWE's obsession with genetic jackpots over actual wrestling ability. And Bron Breakker, he's Exhibit A. The tension had been building for weeks. Subtle jobs on social media, a few pointed comments in backstage interviews, CM Punk calling out the third-generation superstars who think a famous last name means they deserve everything handed to them. Everyone knew he was talking about Bron, but nobody wanted to be the one to say it out loud. CM Punk walks out with that knowing smirk, you know the one, the I'm about to end this man's whole career smirk. He's in his wrestling gear, fresh off a match earlier in the night, and he's still got that fire in his eyes. The microphone is already in his hand before his music even stops, and that's when you know someone's about to get destroyed. Bron's standing in the ring, chest puffed out, trying to look intimidating. But if you look closely, and we did, we analyzed every frame, you can see the slight hesitation in his eyes. He knows what's coming. He's heard the rumors. He knows CM Punk doesn't do scripted nonsense when he's got something real to say. And then Punk speaks. Bron Breakker, the Intercontinental Champion, the future of WWE, the genetic freak, the third generation superstar who's been told his entire life that he's destined for greatness simply because of whose son and nephew he is. The crowd erupts. They know where this is going and they're here for it. Bron tries to interject, grabbing his own microphone, but Punk cuts him off with a single raised finger and a look that could melt steel. No, you don't get to talk yet, kid. See, you've been doing a lot of talking lately, a lot of barking, actually. You bark at the camera, you bark at your opponents, you bark at the announce team. You know what you remind me of? A dog that's all bark and no bite, except even that gives you too much credit, because at least a dog is loyal and works for its dinner. Boom, the arena loses its mind, but Punk isn't done, he's just warming up. I've been watching you, Bron. I've been watching WWE shove you down everyone's throats for the past year, and I've been waiting, patiently waiting, to see if you'd actually become something other than a carefully manufactured product designed by committee. I've been waiting to see if you'd develop a personality beyond angry meathead who yells a lot. I've been waiting to see if you'd have just one memorable promo that didn't sound like a high school football coach trying to intimidate the JV team. The camera cuts to Bron, and you can see the frustration building. His jaw is clenched, his hands are shaking. But here's the thing, he can't respond because everything Punk is saying is hitting home. But you know what the real problem is, Bron? It's not even entirely your fault. It's WWE's fault.
It's this system's fault, because they looked at you and said, here's a Steiner, here's a guy with the genetics, here's a guy we can market, and they put you on the fast track before you'd earned a single thing. They gave you titles before you'd had classic matches. They gave you main event spots before they'd learned how to captivate an audience for more than 30 seconds. They gave you everything I had to claw, scratch, bleed, and sacrifice to achieve. This is where the promo shifts. This is where it gets personal. The brutal truth. CM Punk starts pacing the ring now, and Bron is just standing there, frozen. The entire arena is hanging on every single word, and you can feel the intensity radiating through the screen. Let me tell you a story, Bron. When I started in this business, nobody gave me anything. I didn't have a famous father. I didn't have an uncle who was a main event star. I didn't have WWE scouts watching me from the day I was born, waiting to sign me the second I could legally sign a contract. No, I wrestled in dingy high school gyms for $40 a night. I slept in my car. I ate gas station food for weeks at a time because that's all I could afford. I worked every single day to become good enough, believable enough, valuable enough that a company might give me a chance. The emotion in Punk's voice is real. This isn't a work. This is decades of frustration pouring out. And when I finally got to WWE, you know what they wanted to do with me? Nothing. I was told I was too small, too skinny, not marketable, not the WWE look. I was told to wait my turn. I was told to know my role. I was told that guys like me don't become champions in this company. But I didn't wait, Bron. I didn't wait for permission. I didn't wait for someone to give me opportunities. I took them. I fought for them. I made myself impossible to ignore. Punk stops pacing and stares directly at Bron. But you never had to fight for anything. You walked into the WWE Performance Center with your last name on your back, and they rolled out the red carpet. They gave you the best trainers, the best equipment, the best opportunities. They put you on TV before you'd had 100 matches. They made you a champion before they've rated her as best of less single person in that locker room. And now you stand here holding that Intercontinental Championship, and you actually have the audacity to act like you deserve it. The crowd is nuclear at this point. This is real. This is everything fans have been feeling but couldn't articulate. CM Punk is speaking for everyone who's sick of manufactured stars, sick of nepotism, sick of being told who to cheer for instead of being given someone worth cheering for. Bron finally tries to get a word in. Punk, I don't know what I'm talking about, really? That's your response? Let me tell you exactly what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the fact that you've been champion for 4 months and haven't had a single memorable title defense. I'm talking about the fact that your promos are so generic and forgettable that fans can't even quote them a week later. I'm talking about the fact that every single person in that locker room knows you're only in your position because of your last name, and they're all too afraid to say it because WWE has bet their future on you. Punk's voice drops lower, more dangerous. But I'm not afraid, Bron. I'm not afraid of you. I'm not afraid of Triple H. I'm not afraid of getting heat for telling the truth. Because here's the truth. You're not ready. You're not good enough. And until you stop relying on your genetics and your famous family and start actually working to become someone worthy of respect, you're going to be nothing more than a cautionary tale. You're going to be the answer to a trivia question. Who was that guy WWE tried to make the next big thing before he flamed out because he had no substance beyond his surname? The silence in the arena is deafening. This is the moment. This is where Bron has to respond, has to fight back, has to prove Punk wrong. And what does he do? Bron Breakker does exactly what CM Punk predicted he would do. He gets angry, he starts yelling, he starts barking about how Punk is a bitter old man who can't stand that there's a new generation taking over. He tries to fall back on his usual intimidation tactics, getting in Punk's face, flexing his muscles, trying to make it physical. But here's the thing, none of it works, none of it lands, because after what Punk just said, after that brutal dissection of everything Ron represents, physical intimidation just looks like exactly what Punk said. All bark, no bite. A guy who doesn't have the verbal skills to defend himself, so he resorts to the only thing he knows, looking tough. Punk doesn't even flinch. He stands there, microphone in hand, with that same knowing smirk, and you can see it in his eyes. This is exactly what I expected. Ron tries to cut a comeback promo. He really does. He talks about how Punk is washed up and living in the past, and how the future is now, and it's spelled BronBreakker. But it sounds hollow. It sounds rehearsed. It sounds like every other generic response you've heard 1,000 times from 1,000 other guys who didn't have anything real to say. And then Punk delivers the kill shot. You know what the saddest part of all of this is, Bron? I actually wanted to see you succeed. When you first showed up, I thought, maybe this kid will be different. Maybe he'll honor his family's legacy by actually working to be great instead of just coasting on his own. But you're not different. You're exactly what I thought you'd be. You're exactly what WWE creates when they prioritize marketability over merit. You're an empty shell of a superstar with no soul, no passion, and no purpose beyond collecting a paycheck and looking good in promotional photos. Punk drops the microphone and starts to walk away, and you think it's over. You think he said everything he needs to say. But then he stops at the ropes, turns back, and picks up the microphone one more time. One more thing, Bron. That Intercontinental Championship you're holding, the one you think makes you important, I held that title too. I held it for 316 days, and I made it mean something. I elevated it. I gave it prestige. I made people care about it again. And when I see you holding it, treating it like a prop in your generic tough guy routine, it makes me sick. So here's what's going to happen. At the Royal Rumble, you and me, Intercontinental Championship on the line, and I'm going to do what WWE should have done months ago. I'm going to take that title away from someone who doesn't deserve it, and remind the world what a real champion looks like.
Boom. Challenge laid down. Microphone dropped. CM Punk's music hits and he walks out of that ring, leaving Bron Breakker standing there looking like a man who just got hit by a freight train made of pure truth. Now let's talk about the immediate aftermath, because this is where things get really interesting. Social media exploded. Within minutes, CM Punk and Bron Breakker were trending worldwide. But here's what's fascinating. The response was almost universally in favor of Punk. Even people who typically don't like CM Punk, even people who think he's arrogant or difficult, were saying, you know what, he's right. Because here's the thing, CM Punk said what everyone was already thinking. He articulated the frustration that fans have been feeling watching WWE push Bron Breakker without him earning it. He gave voice to the criticism that wrestlers in the locker room have been whispering about but couldn't say publicly. He did what he's always done best. He spoke an uncomfortable truth that needed to be heard. But the backstage reaction, that's where things get complicated. According to our sources, and we have multiple people confirming this, Triple H was furious. Not at CM Punk, interestingly enough, but at the fact that the segment happened at all. Apparently, this promo was supposed to be a standard challenge angle where Punk and Braun would exchange tough guy dialogue and set up their Royal Rumble match. Nobody expected Punk to go that hard. Nobody expected him to